Do you guys want to come here?
So how well do you know Toronto? Have you been here before?
I'm getting to know Toronto a bit better.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's after Soho in London, which is my favourite place in the world.
Yeah.
This is my next favourite.
Really?
Really.
That's high praise. My
Honestly,
goodness.
yeah.
That's
I came here for the first time last year, and things keep drawing me back.
Yeah. Oh, good. Good. Yeah, it's a great city. It's very diverse.
It's really diverse.
It's like you if you drive every 5 minutes, there's a different neighborhood. There's a different feel.
I don't drive. Luckily, some of the people I've met here too.
Number 2, and boy, did we kick it off the right way with a singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, composer, producer, filmmaker, activist, so you name it. He's here in Toronto today to perform the leading song to his next album, What Love Would Want, in support of International Anti-Homophobia and Transphobia Day. Tim Arnold joins Canada Now and does so in studio. Tim, I really appreciate your coming in. Thanks so much for this.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you here.
It's great to be at Sirius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the second time you've been here. Our studios are here in Toronto. Is this the second time you've been here?
This is the third time in Canada.
Third time. Okay, third time in Canada.
First time I came last year for Canada Music Week, Canadian Music Week.
Yeah.
And then I was asked to come back this year.
Yeah.
And then all this stuff around this song happened.
Yeah.
With What Love Would Want.
Yeah.
And I'm back like 3 weeks later.
And you're back. The video today for the track?
The video went live today. Yeah.
Today. How's it feel? Like to have done something and then you got this video. Boy, this video is it's getting a little talk. As it should, because that's what good art does. I think it gets people talking.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's some of the motivation behind what you do. But how's it feel to have this put out today?
I think the thing about it is I wear many different hats with this.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know what hat to wear. So there's the songwriter. So as a songwriter, I'm proud that the song's being heard, obviously.
Yeah.
But the message that is in the song is bigger than anything else to do with this whole project.
Of course, yeah.
So that's being picked up politically or spiritually or in any other way is huge. And then of course there's actually having made the video as well.
Yeah.
And you imagine lots of things when you make a video, and you're not sure if that will transpose into reality, and it has done. So it's been an amazing adventure so far, and experiencing what was in my imagination turning into real life.
Yeah, well, and it's great, and with all due respect, I hate that messages from you in this day and age are absolutely necessary, because I really feel they are, and I'm glad you're putting them out, and I'm glad there is someone like you that takes their art seriously and wants to motivate change for the better in this world. I hate the fact that it's necessary, but I love the fact that you're doing it, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I suppose there's a side of it where the song is sort of therapeutic as well, because like many people, I get angry about some of the things that happen in the world. We all get angry about it. I think on a personal level, the song is my way of turning whatever anger I feel about certain situations into something more gentle. And
it's necessary. Again, if I may use that word, I think it's necessary, because if it did sound like it came from a place of anger, I don't think it's hurt as much.
No, and I think that's a little bit about getting a bit older. And when I was younger, I wrote a lot of stuff that was quite, politically motivated.
Yeah.
And it sounded angry. And of course, this is at the heart of this. This is about love and how that can become something between two human beings. That's it. Period.
That's it.
Two human beings.
Exactly.
Not a man and a woman, not a man and a man, not a woman. So these labels, which I think are so outdated now, and if we wait another 30, 40 years, most of the people who are clinging on to those old ideas won't be here anymore anyway. So we have to think about the people who are young now, growing up in a world that shouldn't have labels.
Yeah, and I gotta say, as a parent now, and I've been a parent for almost 4 years, and now with what you're doing and what you just said, I really take that more seriously, because I'm looking at because he's a blank. I've got 2 sons now, and the oldest is almost 4, and I'm looking at him as a blank canvas, and I don't want to, like what I've known and what I've come to believe to necessarily be true. I want him to have interpretations. I want him to have beliefs, to have acceptance, more acceptance with his generation as it gets older. So like I'm glad those messages are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's really lovely that that all of this work, which is only starting today, and it is kind of work because it is spreading a message and supporting a lot of different causes, has happened in Canada, you know, because and maybe that happens with a lot of artists. You go somewhere else and people have a slightly more open-minded attitude to what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm from England, I love England, and London's amazing, but it's been hard trying to get some of my songs. I write quite often about stuff that matters.
Yeah.
Sometimes hard to get anybody to pay attention.
Yeah.
Not to me, but to the cause or the message that I'm fighting for. So I just, to all the Canadian people that I've met and who've helped support this so far, I just want to say thank you. It really means a lot.
Oh, that's great. So you're straight, of mixed race and of lesbian parentage. What does it mean to you to stand up against homophobia and transphobia?
Well, you know, I started. My beginning point is feeling guilty. So I'm 41. I've spent probably, I think, 38 years of my life never thinking about these issues, because I grew up with 2 mums.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with an extended family of gay people, men and women.
Yeah.
And so I just took it for granted. And the more I've realized in the last few years that there's a great deal of suffering and oppression down to people's sexual orientation in certain parts of the world, that why aren't people talking out about it more? It's the same as the He for She campaign. You know, half the population on this planet are women. If we want women's rights to be addressed properly, we need men who form half of the population to start saying something about it. And this is the same thing, but it's being straight for gay, you know, or straight for trans. It's no good. The more transgender people or the more gay people have to fight on their own in their own groups, it carries on the segregation. You know, we have to embrace each other, and that's why the video. People say, "Well, it's not a gay video. Oh, it's not a trans video." No, it's not. It's a human video.
That's right.
It's a human song, and it's about human beings and about love without limits, because we're in the 21st century now, and it's time that we recognise that.
Can I say, and like, because you know, if Iggy Pop can do it, then I can do it. I'm going to make comparisons here, because Iggy Pop talks about your music, and it's very similar in many ways to like David Bowie, and which is high praise. You know, for me, you remind me, at least with what you've put out, and some of the diversity of what you've put out, you kind of remind me of John Lennon. Have you ever gotten that before?
Oh, wow. I mean, it's funny. I did when I was younger, and he's absolutely my starting point. In people would say you're a singer or whatever, and I don't think of myself as a singer. I use my voice in what I do, but you know, I work with some great singers. I know what great singers do. You know? I'm not one of those. I'm a writer. I'm a writer, and I write ideas, and then I use whatever I can to. If it's a song, it's music, it's a guitar, it's a piano, or it's a video camera, just to put the idea across and share it. That's very lovely of you. Thank you.
Well, that's why, because like I feel like Lennon, within his music, he really always tried to push the envelope and broaden his horizons, have a message. He tried to do that in a lot of cases, and then take his art beyond that, like drawing, the dabbling in acting. Like he tried to do other things as well, and that's why I kind of see that reflection of that.
And the thing for me, when I was trying to describe what we're doing tonight, we're doing an event tonight, and a lot of the events I've done independently over the years with songs and such. On my first album, which I recorded in a Buddhist monastery in Thailand, I was there for rehab, but I ended up living there and getting clean and then making a record with the monks in the monastery, which was extraordinary. But we did a song with 100 people singing, and there were monks and nuns. And I said at the time, this needs to be like Montreal, John and Yoko, Give Peace a Chance. I was 28, I'm 41, I'm still using that analogy for the projects that I do. And I don't see anything. I look at celebrity kind of you know, lifestyle, and that spirit's gone a little bit. And I think I try to inject it into whatever I do whenever I can, because it's wonderful and it's authentic when you just get people together. You know, advertising companies can do it and they do a good job, and it's like feigned authenticity, and we hear it in adverts every day, we see it on television every day. But actually, when you meet people who have open hearts to the point where they're like, yeah, we'll get on board with that, and it's what we're doing tonight.
Yeah, it's refreshing, is what it is
very
as well. Your 16th album is coming out this summer. 16.
Yeah.
You have 16 albums.
I know.
That's a lot to say.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, how do you feel about that? You know, because over the, you know, and you talk about like your start in your first album, and I want to touch on a couple of albums, like you know, 2010 Sonnet 155, like a kind of like a rock classical project. This year you put out your first proper classical album. It's like you've done a lot of different things. Like within music, you've kind of used your voice in different ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Part of it comes from how do I describe it? I see other artists doing stuff, and I always think, not like most of us, I could do that, you know.
Yeah.
But I actually think I should have done that.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it. I think, why haven't I done that?
Yeah, that's right.
And then I do it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit. I don't have a competitive streak, but when I realise I could actually do it, I think, yeah, but don't just sit here and think it. Do it, and it kind of excites me to learn constantly. I don't like, you know, you don't do music to you know, never grow. It's something that makes you grow all the time if you keep doing something new, and that's why I suppose, and that's maybe what Iggy I sort of saw in the albums that I've done, they're different characters.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's fun. I think in the UK I've been very underground, you know, and now becoming more noticed outside the UK. And it's lovely. It doesn't matter where to me. I make the music for a very big audience in my head.
Yeah.
And it's nice that maybe the audience is expanding a little at the moment.
Well, I kind of feel like you're like your own genre. Like I've felt that way about Bowie.
Oh, like that.
You know, it's like, well, there's
what
like
genre are you?
there's rock,
Arnold.
there's pop, there's Tim Arnold, there's, you know, like that's kind of how I feel about you.
Oh wow, thank
You know,
you.
and that's through your diversity and through all the things that you want to do. And I mentioned Sonnet 155, and that's one of a couple of albums that I wanted to ask you about, because the album is a rock classical project that's inspired by letters that you received from a host of Shakespearean actors with their personal views on the importance of Shakespeare, some of which included Ian McKellen and Emma Thompson. It's almost like you were, I kind of feel like with that one, like you were kind of like the album was just kind of sitting there, and you were the medium, like you kind of put it out. You know what I mean?
You know, that's the perfect way to describe, I think, actually all music. I don't believe in the whole idea of credits and stuff. Artist rights is another thing I feel very strongly about, but actually, spiritually, the whole essence of music, it's like trying to claim that you made the mountain because you owned it or something. It's like, it's not your mountain.
Yeah.
It's the same with music, and I think those of us that make music could choose to give our lives to it. We are just channels for stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
With Sonnet 155, I mean, that for me, that is a great example of why we should never stop writing letters. I'm a great believer in writing letters. I don't mean emails, and you know.
Yeah, no, pen to paper.
I mean pen to paper.
It's very different. Yeah.
And really thinking about it, and maybe doing it in pencil first, and and then getting it just right. And I wrote over 30 letters to people like Ian McKellen and Derek Jacobi, Emma Thompson, and because I want to learn more, and I want to know. I love experts. Anyone, like you're probably an expert in radio, right? So I could
try to be.
I could sit all night and listen to what you have learned about your career in radio. I would love it.
Yeah.
And I'd feel all the more, you know, full of life for that. And it's the same with Shakespeare. It's like, I love Shakespeare, but I don't know why, because I don't understand it.
You can't appreciate it the way like Emma Thompson would.
No,
yeah.
And that's why I asked them to sort of give me their take on what it meant, and then do it in a way that, I don't know, the Smashing Pumpkins might do it. That's one of my favourite rock bands, and that's what Sonnet 155 is.
Yeah, and this year's Sound of Pictures Volume 1. It really is your first proper classical album. Now,
Yeah.
okay, so it features world-class soloist Jonathan Hill, and you guys recorded the album with the most valuable private collections of violins in the world.
Yeah.
First off, how do you get a hold of that? How does that even happen? Like, did you steal them? Like, what'd you do?
This comes back.
Fess up.
This comes back to what I was saying about what love would want, and really recognizing the value of people. I've been very lucky in the last 15 to 20 years to be surrounded by some extraordinary people. I don't know if I'm drawn to them or they're drawn to me, but that's how my journey's been.
Yeah.
Jonathan is one of those people.
Yeah.
This is a black belt in karate who happens to play violin for a living. He's
That's unbelievable.
really amazing. He is a virtuoso and a world-class player. And he came to me and said, this museum or this collector's loaned me these violins worth millions of pounds, and I'm just playing them in the show every night. Do you want to make a record?
I wouldn't even want to touch them, let alone play them.
Somebody comes to me with a bunch of ingredients and they don't have a plan. Within like 5 minutes, I have a plan.
Yeah.
I just think, those instruments have been around for 300-400 years, and we should make something beautiful that will last another 400 years, hopefully. And that's what that album is. And we've recorded 3 albums, so there's another 2 volumes on the way.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, and it's a chance for me to listen to my music, because I don't like listening to my own voice very much. So
Really?
No.
Why not? You keep knocking your
I-
voice. You got a lovely voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It does the job. I don't.
That's what my wife says about me. They'll do.
So this is all instrumental, so I can listen to it, and it sounds exactly how I imagined it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's got to be so satisfying.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And when you have great musicians like that, they're doing it.
Yeah.
How you wanted it, better than you wanted it, actually.
Yeah.
So
I-
it's a special album for me.
I've come to appreciate with your music and through this conversation as well, that what's attractive with your music as well, and with you yourself, is that you have a curiosity and a rich sense of history.
Yeah.
Like, you're aware. You're a pretty self-aware person.
Okay, yeah.
You are.
My mother would disagree sometimes.
Maybe an earlier version
No,
of you.
I'm getting better.
Not now.
Yeah, I'm
Not
getting
now.
better.
Yeah.
History is really important to me. It's
Yeah.
why it's formed basis of most of my work, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, my association with Soho is all to do with history and of Great Britain, because I lived outside of England for 4 years when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And that really gave me a thirst and hunger for everything to do with the history of the United Kingdom. Yeah.
Well, together with Benedict Cumberbatch and Stephen Fry, you also lead the Save Soho group, a grassroots movement devoted to inclusivity, diversity, and the future of performing arts and music venues in London's famous creative Soho district. So it's really nice to have, I would think, being out of Soho, to have someone championing that cause, to be leading
God.
that in that way, and a group of you as well.
Yeah, I mean, with Save Soho, which is, it started off as just trying to save one venue, and then because of Stephen and Benedict coming on board and championing the whole thing, I guess I drove it into, look, we can't just leave it just the Madame Jojo's, which is the name of the venue, which we did save. It's being regenerated and reopened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're extraordinary people as well, and nobody sort of realizes when you're that sort of famous or that busy or that in work and that in demand, it's hard to loan your voice to a cause.
Yeah.
Because everybody's asking you to do it every day.
Yeah.
So I really understood the value of that, and that's why I carried on and do carry on supporting Soho in every way I can. What it represents as well. I think, like, you've had gentrification issues in Toronto, right?
Mhm.
And venues disappearing.
Yeah.
Same thing, it's
Yeah.
global, and it's to do with the drive for profit, making us forget what we really value, and we remember, of course, when it's gone. So that's what Save Soho is to do. We're trying to remind people about the value of grassroots music venues, which the Music Venue Trust does a fantastic job in the UK, and community, really. It's a community of people that are young, not that rich, love music, love film, love theatre, love comedy, and can afford to go to places to experience that.
Yeah, we need kind of like a Save Soho version here in Toronto. There's a club in Ontario, or Ottawa, excuse me, that closed down as well that a lot of people are up in arms about. Finally, I want to ask you this, because you put in about 20 years or so, a little bit more than that, into music, into your art, and since you signed your first record deal at 19. What's changed for you personally as an artist over the course of that time? You know, and what comes with that is age. But what's changed for you? Has it gotten easier?
Nothing's changed as much as it has in the last 2 years. The last 2 years has been like, God, I mean, I've written another 3 albums in the last 2 years, which are kind of so I have the next 5 years kind of planned out creatively, God willing. You know? So I think a big thing changed. I did The Voice in the UK. I was asked to do The Voice by The Voice. It's one of those funny things where people think, I never thought you'd go for that. It's like, I didn't. They asked me and I did it. And it was a horrific experience that I don't regret. But my God, when you suddenly find out how much big corporations that are supposedly responsible for today's entertainment regard actual art and music and creative people, which I wasn't. I was very naive 3 years ago. I probably still am, but a little less so. And it made me value what I do in a different way. It's never been. I've never valued music because it was a living, or because I wanted to make money, or wanted to be famous. It's because I wanted to be like I was when I was a kid. I used to write a poem and go and show my mum, and she'd, you know, pat me on the back and say, "Well done." You know, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. We all have it. It's approval and what's the word? Acknowledgement. You know, of why we're here. Whatever it is that we do. It's not music with everyone. With me it is. But those things are the things that personally I think I've embraced and have changed the way that I approach making music and sharing it.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. Tim Arnold performing in Toronto today in support of International Anti-Homophobia and Transphobia Day. Tim, a pleasure to get to meet you. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
And thank you. And I love Canada, and I really look forward to meeting more people from this great country.
Yeah, well, we'll look forward to meeting you as well. Thank you.